what is your name?
Jeff.
And so how old were you when the attacks took place?
30.
Where and what were you doing?
The morning that the attacks happened, I was actually waking up from a long night at work. So
How did you find out about the attacks?
I was watching the news
When did you know it was a terrorist attack?
almost immediately, probably right when the second plane hit.
What emotions and thoughts were going through your mind as you learned about the attacks?
Anger and sadness, and I was a bit anxious.
What do you think of the government's reaction to the attacks?
I think it was justified. I think they moved swiftly, but you can always look back on things and realize what you might have done, what you could have done differently.
Do you agree with the decision to invade Afghanistan and why?
I do. I think they needed to in order to stop Al Qaeda, because Al Qaeda was the leading force behind the attacks. And so I think going after a country that was trying to keep the Taliban or the Al Qaeda safe was a good thing.
Do you agree with the decision to invade Iraq and why?
At the time, yes, because we as a country believed there were weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein was stockpiling. Again, you can second guess things afterwards, but I still agree with the way it happened.
Do you support the additional security at airports?
I do. I think if it takes an extra half hour or an hour to get where you're going and you're safe and you're in a more secure environment, then I think it's okay. It's worth the time.
Do you believe the government should be able to listen to phone calls or read private emails in order to fight terrorism?
I think in certain circumstances, yes. I think the government, if it's a viable, source that they know, it could lead to terrorism. I don't think it's okay for the government to just be able to listen to anybody and anything at any time, but I think if it's a proven way to stop a terror attack on our country and they have the right facts, then absolutely.
Do you believe the nation is safer today as a result of the changes that took place?
I believe the nation is safer. I don't necessarily believe it's a direct result of the attacks. I think a lot of changes needed to happen. So, yes and no. I think it is safer. I don't think it's directly because of 9/11 though, but I think that aided in the ongoing safety changes.
Do you think that terrorism can be defeated?
No.
Why or why not?
No, I don't think terrorism can be defeated. I think you're always going to have people who are fanatical within different, whether it's a religion or a thought process where they want to change the way everybody else thinks. So I think, and that's terrorism, when you're trying to change people's moods or viewpoints by force. That's a form of terrorism. I don't think it can be defeated. I think we just have to keep our guard up.
Has 9/11 changed you? How so?
I think so. I think it changed me in that I'm a little more cautious of things. But I think it's changed a lot of people in probably not all positive ways either. So I think we have a country that's still changing to this day.
How has 9/11 changed our nation or the world?
I think it's put the world on notice but I think it's also changed us as a country because we're, well, the entire world. It's just everything is about security, and it's all about being safer and watching out for terrorists, terrorist organizations, or different people or different entities that want to harm countries, not just our country, but any country.
Were you afraid for your safety or the safety of your family, and what actions did you take?
No, I wasn't afraid for my safety. I knew I was never in pure danger, in the line of danger, and my family wasn't. But so I didn't have to take any actions for that.
What was your most vivid memory of that day?
It wasn't just that day, but it was days after because they had stopped flying airplanes because of the attacks. And so to me, my most vivid memory was going outside and not seeing an airplane for, I don't know if it was a week or a few days or however long it was. But that was weird and odd to me to not see an airplane in the sky, other than I saw a few military planes from the Air Force base out here. So that was probably the most odd thing for me.
Do you know people who were personally impacted by the attacks? If so, what happened to them?
No, I didn't know anybody that was impacted personally, but I think everybody had a personal connection to what happened, but I didn't know anybody that was involved in the attacks, that had lost their lives or anything. But I knew people who I knew, once we knew it was an attack, I knew people that it would affect because they were in the military, and friends of mine or coworkers at the time who were called to duty. So that's the extent of how it affected, my personal life.
How did the nation react for the first few days after 9/11?
Everybody became more patriotic. Everybody was scared together. Everybody was, going to church more often. I mean, it was a very, it was a thing that everybody was kind of being very brotherly, being very friendly with each other. And so I think that was that's how they reacted for the first couple of days and weeks after.